Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society. And I want to touch on a problem that maybe I have, that I haven't stressed the importance of every dentist or anybody that messes with people's teeth, and even people out in the general public that have trouble with their temporomandibular joint problem, that they should learn how to take care of it. And so that's just something that ought to be taught in the dental schools everywhere. I remember when I got out of dental school, I didn't know a thing in the world about the temporomandibular joint, or I'm sure we covered it some, but it wasn't stressed as something you really needed to know all the time. And there's so many people doing orthodontics and regular dental work that say, well, I don't want to get mess with that because I don't want to have to be bothered with it. And that is a big mistake. Everybody ought to know a few things about the temporomandibular joint, and I want to cover just a little bit of that today as we get into this. And let me see if I can get everything going here. The University of Sweden, I believe, is the university that put on this show, and they started this thing, and they showed this. Now I'm going to cut. This is a proper way that one functions, and I can stop it right there, but I can't draw on it, but I can show this is the head of the condyle. Now your jaw is way out over on the other side here, and this is the temporomandibular eminence here where you're biting in, and this is the retrodiscal tissue, and it kind of wads up when you squeeze together. When you close your mouth, any normal mouth closure. And I'm going to bring this thing out, and I'll start it and move real slow. Well, I messed up there. I'll have to go back to the start of this thing. Let me go back over here. All right, this is getting closer to the, I'm going to do the part that's healthy TMJ problem, or just a healthy joint. I had this in the wrong spot here. Now, this is, you have to realize this is a cut down of somebody who, right after death, while they're still grown completed where they couldn't move it, they have to cut down the side of the facial structure here and take it, and this is all cut down. So think of this now as a round deal coming out here, but this part of it's been taken away so you can see it. And there's an upper joint space, and there's a lower joint space down in this area, and some way or another, this part right in here in the disc takes so much pressure. When you bite your teeth together, the heads of the condyle presses this so hard that this tissue right between this, now this will have a little blood supply and you'll be able to help some, but it carries the food structure comes from this retrodiscal tissue. Now, if you watch me close this up, and this will go up in here, and this will squeeze together. I'll try to go slow and talk to you about each one as it goes on here. So we go out, that's when your mouth is open. Now we're on the way to, and watch this retrodiscal tissue. It'll get squeezed in here as I close this up now. I'm going to close it, but it jumps way too far forward. I want to go back and shove it back in this direction. Now it's almost closed. Now if I push this real quick, and it jumps way over to here. It's hard to, let me get this thing back further. Now, watch as this goes, when your mouth closes all the way, it'll squeeze this retrodiscal tissue, and even though it's a cutoff through here, there'll be some liquid kind of open out to that part. All right, I couldn't hold it there and see it, but that's where the joint goes up, and then it pushes this retrodiscal tissue. It's highly vascular, and if you get hit in the jaw, get a hard blow to the jaw, it pushes this part, the condyle, back into this portion so hard that sometimes it knocks this disc completely through this space, and you have the whole, this whole area will be in front of the condyle, and then it'll open, it'll click. Now you can get rid of the pain, but you can't always get rid of the click in there. Let's watch this very slowly. Now we'll go over it again. Let me get back here at the very first. All right. You can see it go up, and I'll stop it. It's going. Now when it closes up there, it squeezes that retrodiscal tissue, and that's what produces the synovial fluid, which supplies the lubrication for the joint, and also it brings food structure in, and it feeds this portion where there's no blood vessels in here. It's squeezed in here, and that's the portion that takes the heavy load when you're chewing. If you pull out here and bite your front teeth together, let me see if I can bring it forward just a little bit further. Now somewhere out here, you've got the mouth open a little bit, and there'll be pressure on that, and it'll push and flatten this tissue out. This is where the disc is not damaged. It's a healthy disc right here. And everybody ought to understand, if you get hit in the jaw, this pushes this condyle back, it crowds it out. Sometimes it'll push it, come through here. It may go through up here and gets so close to the brain and knocks a person out. And that's a place where there's very little bone structure between the top of the condyle and the head and the brain, and it can get knocked out. And if you're in a car wreck, a whiplash will jerk your head back, And these race car drivers, you see them get in with a stiff thing up the neck, the back of their head. So if they get hit at 200 something miles an hour, or even 300 now, it won't break their neck and probably back in and have something to hold it in place. And so that's another safety deal for the race car drivers. Now this is where the major part of the pain with TMJ comes, was where you get this damaged and you get hit in this area and it damages this joint, it bruises it, and it swells up. And then when it swells, every time you swallow, you'll push the condyle into that swollen tissue and you'll have a terrific pain with it. And you go it over and over and over, it keeps hurting, and now the pain gets into the headache, the neck ache and pain, and your shoulders would ache, and it'll hold. Somebody go in there with all that kind of pain, and a long time the doctors would look at it and try to doctor that, and they never would touch the condyle. If you reach up there and touch that condyle, and you can take a finger and put on it and move your jaw around, you can feel that thing. And those people will have a pain there. They won't let you touch that place. So thank you for watching. And that's where most of the problem comes about. And I'll have to cut out a little space in there for us. Thank you now, and I'm going to close out and say goodbye till next time. So I'm going to say goodbye.